You are listening to Viewpoints from Place Cloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
One of the reasons that London was such an important trading city is that it had excellent ports. Even though it's up the Thames, it was easy to sail out into the sea and to move goods and services quickly back and forth. However, what's good for maritime trade is also good for piracy. And there were a number of problems with pirates in the Thames River, even in the Roman period. We have extant records of people running inside the city walls in order to hide from pirates under the Romans, in the early medieval period before the conquest, and even in medieval London itself. By the 15th century, the ability for pirates to brigade up and down the Thames was beginning to come to a close. People thought that they really had to crack down on piracy because, well, no one likes getting killed. A part of this was the establishment of the execution docks. If someone was caught doing piracy, they would be taken to the Marshalsea prison in Southwark. Then they would have a hearing at what was called the Admiralty Courts. There was a specific set of maritime laws that would be overseen there. It wasn't just something that had to do specifically with law, and obviously stealing and killing is illegal everywhere. But there were also extra points taken off of you, essentially, if you were doing it on the river, because trade was so important. If you were found guilty of piracy, you would be sentenced to death. So you'd be paraded from the Admiralty Courts over London Bridge, past the Tower of London, and out towards Wapping, where the execution dock was. The spectacle of this procession was a part of a way of trying to warn people off of getting involved in a life of piracy. It was actually really difficult to catch pirates. So, having the big procession and having a big grisly execution at the end was a way of warning people. If you weren't always going to catch them, you had to let people know that in the event that they were caught, they would be in serious trouble. So, people would go out to the execution dock to watch people being hanged. Then, after people were hanged at the execution dock, their bodies would be moved. The bodies would be taken over to Blackwall Point on the southern part of the river. It kind of sticks out into the River Thames, and it's a point where any ships going back and forth would see. So their corpses would stand as another reminder of what happens to pirates in the Thames when they're caught. For all this bluster, though, really the fact of these grisly executions and the public display of bodies taking place is just testament to the fact that it was really difficult to actually catch pirates in the act. You would need to do these sort of things if you could actually board a boat very quickly and arrest a number of pirates. Fundamentally, if you had a fast enough ship and you were a good enough sailor, there was a way of avoiding the Admiralty Courts and anyone who would catch you and kill you. But this is also a reminder of how crime used to work in the early modern period. Things didn't necessarily have high tariff sentences like this all the time. It's just that if you were disrupting anything that was considered important to trade or royalty or the keeping of peace more generally, that you would have a huge, terrible execution involved. Otherwise, for crimes that happen between individuals, you would just see a sort of slap on the wrist and a fine. But Lord help anybody who actually got in the way of London's trade. There's nothing more important in London than trade and moving things in and out by boat. And that's why sometimes you gotta hang a pirate.